Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to something a little bit different, something a little bit special here. Welcome back to not a professional game of StarCraft, but welcome back to a viewer replay cast. For those that are curious, if you yourself want your own replay casted and redeemed here on the channel, you can do so via channel points. As you can see in the chat, we do have a way for you to redeem your channel points. I think it's 10k, I think it's 10,000 channel points to have us cast one of your replays, and we do have a replay redeemed a couple of weeks ago. We just didn't have the time, the opportunity to cover it, but today we had a bit of a shorter broadcast as we had less replays available for Pixar Cup, so we have some time to jump into a cheeky viewer replay cast. Once again though, this is a viewer, this is a fan in the chat, not the most professional player, like not like GM or anything like that, more of an up-and-coming player. He's been improving a lot as a player, I will say that. I remember when he was, I want to say like around gold, maybe like at the beginning of the year, and has been slowly improving. He has been very regular when it comes to the amateur tournaments that we run as well, and we'll see how he does fare off and compare here as we load into our 1v1 on Persephone. Let's go as we load into a ladder game. Here we go. Bienvenidos, as we are jumping into our game, and spawning in the bottom hand corner we have the South Korean Terran. We have our ladder opponent. I can't read Hangul, baby. Hold on. Where's my phone? ¿A dónde está mi teléfono? Hold on. This one is just like his name. It doesn't translate to anything. It says Star-Kenny. Oh, Star-Kenny. Okay. Let's go. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the Blue Zerg player, with the Blue Zerg player himself. From the chat, it is RaGnaR. The Australian Zerg. Un momento, papi. The Blue Zerg player. Here we go. Okay, we're jumping into our ZvT, and so far, first things first, we are going to be opening up hatch first. So hatch first opener here out of our Zerg player, going hatch pool, looks like, going into a bit of a delayed gas geyser from our Blue Zerg. Meanwhile, we have a double gas opener out of our Terran player. Already we're being a little bit quirky here, we're mixing things up. Let's go. Let us go. So again, delayed gas. We might see even a gas-less opener out of our Zerg player and go for a faster third base. I would say it is risky and unsafe to do so here on Persephone. There are better maps to that, and it's just going for a later gas. Okay, later gas, a later link speed, earlier queens. So we have a bit of a diverse opener here by RaGnaR. Meanwhile, across the map, again, double gas going to a faster factory. This is unusual. This is rarely seen, at least at the competitive level of TVZ. It is standard, it is meta to go for a faster economy, to go for the faster natural, as it is difficult to really get much early game damage done by going for the faster factory due to queens, due to early lings, and due to the Overlord scat as well. So you can easily see what's coming. Overlord does confirm the faster factory and the fact that there's no CC. So upon seeing this, we should be seeing safe play out of RaGnaR, prioritization of queens, of course, and not being overly greedy. I want to say you can probably still get away with a third base with this, but you do want to keep an eye on any kind of move outs. You want to keep an eye on any one base all in. Yeah, one base all in. Okay. So one base all in out of our Red Terran. No command center, no CC whatsoever. This is where it's on RaGnaR to try to confirm either with the Overlord or with Lings, right? Right now we have some Lings, and based on what we're seeing across the map, we don't need these Lings back at home to defend. The Queens are here. So if there's a Reaper, for example, the Queens are perfectly fine. So there's a lot of value in moving out early on with a handful of Lings to try to get a read on what's happening. Now we get the Lings moving out. There's a little bit late here for RaGnaR, but is at least moving out. He confirms that there was no Reaper, that Marines have popped out instead. And RaGnaR, he needs to confirm what's going on. For all he knows, this could be a BC rush, right? This could be Fusion Core into BC. This could be Hellions into a Hellbat push. This could be early tank push with Bio. This could be Banshee play. Like, there are so many possibilities as to what this could be, and we need to scout soon. Or we should be scouting right now. Lings, they pull back. Oof. And it is worth, like, throwing away an Overlord here just to confirm, just because it's better than just dying, right? It's like... Oh, as we're going for double gas opener 111 into double expand. So this is not a one base all in. This is hyper committed and very delayed economy. RaGnaR did delay his own third base, so economically RaGnaR, he's not as far ahead as he could be. And also, this is an insanely fast lair. Jesus, this is what, like a 320 lair timing? Ay, ay, ay. Late link speed because of the late gases, if you remember.
You're engaging the opponent.
We have Cloak on the way. Cloak is scouted. As the Viking is hunting down the Overlords. Oh, we do have an excess amount of Overlords on the map. So the Viking will get even more value. RaGnaR is supply blocked. And again, this fast lair doesn't really make any sense here. This was a big investment. If you're going for a 320 lair timing, the thing that makes the most sense is going 2-base Muta. But we don't really have the economy to sustain 2-base Muta. And we're going for a Baneliness as well, so... this happens at lower levels, right? We have just these weird and quirky builds that are inefficient and some wasted resources here and there for both players, really. Here we go, getting into Quick Banshee, going for the Armory. Okay, we're kind of leaning in towards like a Banshee Hellbat push, but this is less committed because of the third CC, right? Like, if it wasn't for this third command center, we could afford like a second factory for extra Hellions, for extra Hellbats. Like, this could hit so much harder if we didn't take a third CC. So, kind of a quirky setup here. If you're going for a lair this quickly, then may as well morph into an Overseer just to rescout. So again, if you're getting a lair, may as well make use of it. Should be an Overseer, should be scouting, should be checking the bases just to confirm, just to even get eyes on the third CC, or the fact that this is mech. As I mentioned before, RaGnaR did overextend with these Overlords. Typically, you only send out at most 2 Overlords to scout across the map. The rest should be close by at main attack paths and can also be pulled back once you confirm that there's a Viking. So RaGnaR, he's punished quite hard. This Viking gets 4 Overlord kills. Ay, ay, ay. And again, at most it should have been 2. So brutal damage. That's a lot of Ling Bane. And this is also something that happens quite a lot. I mean, at a lot of levels of play, to be fair. But because RaGnaR hasn't scouted, because he doesn't know that there's a fast third CC, because he doesn't know that production was delayed because of the economy, he doesn't know that he doesn't have to make all this Ling Bane. He could be fully saturated on 3 bases, right? We could be droning this entire time, and there's nothing to kill him. There's nothing to threaten him, really, as long as your queen count is solid, which we're also missing queens. But we're missing the opportunity to drone up here. And all just because of lack of information, lack of scouting. Ooh, as we're taking up very quickly here into the Spire and the Infestation Pit. So very late saturation at the third base. What this means is that even though the Terran player had a very delayed natural, even though they had a delayed expansion, because of the lack of droning from the Zerg, the Terran player is not too far behind economically. They could be muling. True, we're holding onto a lot of energy here. So, could be better here for the Terran with mules. Behind this, of course, going to mass mech. Meanwhile, we do have a potential Hive Tech, Spire play as well. This is where suddenly the scouting is now important for the Terran. And the Banshees was scouted earlier. No Spore in position. Drones are going to be going down, and brutal damage here. But what's important is that because the Terran player didn't scout, and you could argue here that there's plenty of energy for scans, he doesn't know that there's mutants on the way. And right now, nothing shoots up. I think there's 1 Viking, right? There's 1 Viking, there's like 2 Marines. So anti-air is non-existent. The game could just end with mutas. Could just end. And now that's on the Terran's lack of scouting, as there's plenty of energy for scans. Basically, everything in this game comes down to just lack of information for both players. Like, we're both just playing blind, Pat. We're just playing blind. Ay, ay, ay. Speaking of, he scans the army, he confirms the mutas. Jesus, speaking of Pappy, do you know we can mule? We have the capacity to mule, Pappy. Oh my god. Scans, they confirm the mutas at least, so now we can start some anti-air. There's still none, by the way, but we should be beginning Thor production. There we go. Thors are on the way. I would say that this is also now on RaGnaR. When you're going into mutas like this, like so much is reliant on hiding the mutas and having them be a surprise. These mutas, when we saw those scans, they should have already been in the bases, right? They should be harassing. Right now, there's still no anti-air. Right now, they can still be doing damage, but RaGnaR is just very passive, very defensive here, and he's missing the opportunity to deal damage with these mutas. I assume that was the point of them, right? To get into mutas, to catch your opponent off guard. But we're missing that timing. We're missing that window. And as a result, the game is continuing. Whereas there was otherwise opportunity for damage earlier. There's a lot of opportunities here. But now there are Thors, and now those opportunities have kind of been wasted. From here, we're going to the Hive. Technically, this can still lead into a Greater Spire into Broodlords. The economy is still lackluster to be able to afford that, so we got a lot of droning to do to be able to afford Broodlords. But that may be the tech of choice, especially against mech. I will say that I don't think RaGnaR has confirmed mech is the issue. He has a Changeling. Okay, he knows. Changeling in the main base, he's fully aware of the mech. And we should be seeing a Greater Spire and alongside Infestors. Ooh. We have more mutas on the way. It's a bit of a concern. Like, the time for mutas at this point has kind of come and gone. Jesus, that's a lot of turrets. We have too many turrets here as well, so we have our Terran player trying to turtle up and being a little bit inefficient in doing so. We have more Ling Bane Muta. What was the high for Pappy? As he starts +2 instead of the Greater Spire, going into more mutas. Now, technically, these mutas can still do a lot of damage depending on where the Thors are. So the Thors, they're rallied here in between the bases. There's a lot of turrets, but the mineral lines aren't really protected. The mineral lines are safer in the natural, but I can't say the same for all the mineral lines. As mutas, they finally poke out. They can maybe get a couple of tanks. Oh god, oh no! Yeah, he gets caught out by the Thors. And again, we have to stop muta production. We're going into ultras, okay. I mean, ultras, they can still work. Especially with the new Infestor, with the new Microbial Shroud, right? Ultras with Microbial Shroud can still excel. They can still do well here. There is potential, bearing in mind that you have to research Microbial Shroud. That is an upgrade that has to be researched, so that's another factor. Which we aren't seeing yet. There's a settling in. Vipers are on the way. I mean, that'll help. But I feel like this army is still very much so lacking for RaGnaR. How are the ultras better with the new Microbial Shroud? If you're unfamiliar with the changes, Microbial Shroud previously would only help against against air units. So you'd throw down the shroud and it'll do half damage from like Sky Toss and from Banshees, for example, just anything in the sky. With the new shroud, it has been changed now to ranged attacks. So that does help against tank shots, for example. So tank shot damage will be halved, which is pretty huge. Meanwhile, Hellions, they get caught out. See, nice connections. Hellions get caught. Ooh, only 3 Thors. And Thors, can they hold their own? Sorry, 4 Thors. Yeah, they do. So Thors, they hold their own. They shut down the mutas. They shut down Ling Bane. Terran can keep pushing, but we have a remax of pure Ling. And this is where the Hellions are necessary here. Tanks and Thors, they're robust, they're tanky, they're amazing, but Lings can shut this down. We need Hellions. Need Hellion reinforcements. Thanks, I know that. Yeah, it's all good, it's all good. It's a new change. The patch was maybe a month ago. But now Microbial Shroud is useful. That's actually useful. But here, Lings, they will clean up. Again, Lings, they counter tanks, they counter Thors. This is why Hellions are necessary to support the army. As now they arrive, but too late. Right, they arrive too late. They clean up all the Lings, the damage already done. And the ultras are coming. When it comes to the upgrades, unfortunately 3-3 has not begun, so RaGnaR, he's neglecting his 3-3 upgrades a little bit here. Upgrades are neglected, but the ultras have arrived. And this is where our Terran player is going to be struggling. Now, how do you deal with a Lingbane Ultra here when it comes to a mech-based army? Well, ideally, you go Tank, Thor, Liberator, and the perfect mech army actually does incorporate Ghost at the end, right? So you have Tank, Thor, Liberator, Ghost as the ideal late-game composition. I will say a high Thor count can actually trade decently well against the Ultra. It kind of depends what we're working with here. Do we incorporate Blinding Clouds? Do we incorporate the Microbial Shroud? Do we have Link main support? We'll see. We'll see how the armies engage. There we go. 3-3 has not begun for RaGnaR. Second Spire, interesting. Maybe thinking about Broodlords. This time there are some Hellbats. Now we're going to be collapsing in. Ultras, they try to break through. Massive tank shots going up. It's going to be close. As we're down to 4 Ultras, down to 2, down to 1. And the Ultras are all cleaned up. So again, pushing into pre-siege tanks was brutal. But now here come the Ling reinforcements. There are 3 Hellbats. Oh. And they will barely protect. Just barely. It's not like Darkstorm in StarCraft 1. It's similar. Not as potent as Darkstorm. Like, Darkstorm is crazy. Darkstorm is crazy good, but it is more similar to it, for sure. It's actually useful. We are committing in. We have 14 14 more ultras on the way. Let's go. Even without spellcasters, 14 ultras, that should be more than enough. A bit of an anti-timing as 3-3 doesn't get done, but the ultras, they will overwhelm, clean up the tanks, they get on top of the Thors. And at this point, we can just A-move. We can just A-move across the map. There's not much of him to defend. We have a greater Spire on the way, but honestly, we don't have to wait for Broodlords. We can just send it, baby. We can attack. Have some confidence. I mean, it would also help if we had some Larva to work with, and if we could re-max. So our macro is slipping up a little bit here. 6 more Ultra. We're just going pure Ultra at this point. Oh, the Ultras. And RaGnaR is maxed. He's not maxed out. If RaGnaR is too passive, then he can give the Terran player time to build up once again, to build up, to secure themselves. As he's making 6 Thors at a time. And RaGnaR is being passive. Yeah, he's being passive here. So the Terran will max out as well. Like, so many of these bases are so exposed. Unlike how you typically set up here, there's no sensor towers, right? There's no sensor towers, there's no tank lines, there's no SimCity either. Like, if this army were to rotate to any of these bases, like, the bases will just go down. Like, there's there's nothing to protect them. But again, RaGnaR is being very passive. So this is allowing the Terran player to get away with having nothing defensively and taking more bases. RaGnaR finally does move out, but again, very delayed. So does the Terran. See who catches who. Missile goes off. Decent connection. Tanks are moving in. Now, if the Terran can siege up in time, and if we see once again the Ultras rush into the siege tanks, then we could see the Terran take the fight. But once again, it depends on the angle of attack. Ultras are coming in from the right-hand side. Tanks do siege. And they get spotted. Yeah, the Ultras are rushing in. Oh, and massive tank shots are going up. Ultras, can they break through? A good half of them have already gone down. Yeah, and it looks like, I mean, it's still so close here. Down to 5 Ultras. Down to 3. Down to 1. And they get a very clutch fight in the end. The Ultra barely comes out. Tanks, they cannot shoot. They cannot fire. And here comes a Remax. 14 Ultras. 14 more Ultras. And I'm hoping that RaGnaR counterattacks. I'm hoping he doesn't just chill back home and wait again. And let the Terran play a Remax. Oh, we actually had some supply further back. That was huge. If we had these tanks a little bit further forward, that would have been a stronger fight for the Terran and maybe could have pushed into the bases. So unfortunately, some supply was left behind. Likewise, the Raven had plenty of energy as well. We could have seen another turret going off. Sorry, I meant to say anti-armor missile, that's it. Could have seen another missile going off. Uh-oh. We're gonna let the Terran Remax, aren't we? We're gonna... Oh, God. Let's go, baby. Let's go. On our march towards the planetary, there are Hellions to defend. Some of the Banelings do actually connect. Ooh. That should not have happened. And now we have some Broodlords on the way. Again, I would say at this stage, this is a little bit unnecessary. Spellcasters would be just so much more useful here. Whether it's Vipers or Infestors. Either one. Meanwhile, the Terran army has Remax for the 3rd time. It's, you know what RaGnaR's doing? He's doing his best Beyond impression. That's what's... Where Beyond, he would win a fight and then just not attack. And just stay at home. Despite being up like 80 supply. But this time the tanks were late to siege. This time there's nothing to protect them. The Thors are too far behind. And a much stronger fight in favor of RaGnaR. He cleans up all the tanks. He can give chase. And this time he shouldn't turn around. Shouldn't turn around. Keep going. Por favor. Keep going. And oh no. I mean, sure, we had like maxed out armies clash, but it was we had a bit of a shakier early and mid game for sure. Very shaky. In the end, the Ultras have arrived. They break through the Thors, and again, there's nothing left here for the Terran. Nothing left. The Broodlords are coming back. They're coming. They're making their way for us. And with that, we have our Terran player trying to make their stand in the main. Down to 2 tanks. Down to 3 Thors. And GG. GG gets called. With that, RaGnaR, he'll take the game. He'll take down his Terran opponent. GG. GG, papi. GG. Once again, something, and everyone can take through this, of course, even myself included, like, a lot of it did come down to lack of scouting. It goes both ways for both RaGnaR and his Terran opponent as well. This is a little bit more the case at lower levels, but even as we get into, like, Masters and even low GM as well, even GM in general, lack of, like, StarCraft is so information based, like, right? It's like your lack of information, it's or the information that you're able to gather is crucial just to know when it's safe to drone, when it's safe to saturate, when you need to make an army, when you don't need to make an army, what kind of composition you have to go for as well, and also your own timings, right? It's like we spoke about this earlier when it came to the earlier Spire timing out of RaGnaR. He got his Spire, he got his mutas completely unscattered, didn't do anything with them. It's like, what was the point? Where if your opponent fails to scout, fails to be ready for you, then you have a big opportunity to do damage yourself as well, because your opponent failing to confirm what you're up to as well. To be able to make more use of your mutas, to make more use of your aggression, if that's the route that you're going for. And likewise, also scouting your opponent to confirm how vulnerable they are, what they're going for, and kind of where they're at their weakest as well. So it does feel like, again, that goes both ways for both players, where we were working with a lot of incomplete information. At times we were playing completely blind, and that led into some more tentative play, where otherwise we could have seen something more decisive from either player as well. But GG, well played. In the end, the direction when it comes to like the game itself was solid. Like taking him into Hive, getting into Ultras, getting into Broodlords, like sure, solid. GG, well played.